One. Happy days. Hi, everybody, and welcome to something I'm pretty excited about. Our first ever live Q&A with a Twitter story creator. Today, we are joined by Dustyn, the creator of the Binary Moon Project. Hi, Dustyn.
How's it going? Happy to be here, man.
Good. I'm happy. I'm happy to be here too, and happy to have you on with us. It's gonna be really exciting. So here's how the format is gonna go today, guys. Because obviously this is gonna be a little bit more full on, and I'm sure we have a lot of questions. So here's my plan. I'm gonna kind of give you a little quick highlight recap of the Binary Moon Project, a little bit of the story, just so you kind of know what's going on in case you need a little refresher course. I know I did, but that's okay. Then I'm gonna go through my questions that I have for Dustyn, and yet again we're gonna have some casual chit chat, of course. And after all that, I will then go to your questions in the live chat. So don't be afraid to pop your questions in the chat. I will inevitably get to all of you. I'm sure there's plenty of you here. It's very lovely to see all of you. But we need to jump into some of this because this is an amazing moment. I'm not even going to lie to you. I'm so excited to be able to get some more interesting answers out of the Binary Moon Project. I thought this was an incredible Twitter story. It's not the first one I've ever covered, but it's certainly one of the ones that I found to be perhaps the most intriguing because even at the end of it, you have a level of answers, but you certainly have more questions, right? And it's well shot, it's well developed, the storyline's quite interesting. I'm really excited to talk about it. I'm really excited to talk about it. Oh man, just nervous now.
I'm super excited to be here, man. This is. And can I just say, I gave you a little bit of praise, before we started and everything, but I just want to say this publicly for everyone to hear. I am so. I was taken back, and just want to let you know, like I stumbled upon this video 3 weeks ago now, so it had already been live on YouTube for about a year, and I stumbled upon it. I saw it was 2 hours. I'm like, this guy did a complete recap. He narrated the whole thing. I was blown away by how much work and effort you put into it. And then it had like 100,000 views, man. You put 100,000 eyes on this story, and you kind of captured a moment in time from Twitter, and you brought it over to another platform, solidifying that. And I just think what you did with the story was really cool. So I really appreciate the effort you put into, creating that video.
Oh, thank you very much, Dustyn. That's incredibly lovely to hear. Thank you.
Let's jump into the questions, man. I'm excited.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what. Let me go ahead and give the quick recap of the story, a couple of highlights, and we'll jump into some of my questions because I'm so excited. So, in July 22nd, 2018, a Twitter account with the handle Binary M Project decided to put up a post, and this started a story. Let me go ahead and share with you that post there. And it says, a second moon-type object appeared in the night skies above me about a week ago. Which, yet again, interesting kind of thing to start with. But it goes on from there. It kind of talks about, yet again, how there's a second moon-type object. It's brighter than most, brighter than the other moon. A little bit weird. It seems to kind of move in a bizarre fashion. Still kind of arcing around the Earth, but not in like a super typical fashion. It's a little faster than the regular moon. Bit of a low humming sound, can cause vibrations and everything like that. It can be quiet, but in this first instance, it's certainly a bit bizarre. So our protagonist decides to contact Fantastic Daily on Discord, somebody they listened to at the time anyway, and kind of talk about, their experience, a little bit of what's going on, do a little bit of recording and everything. And yet again, some people are freaked out, some people don't believe it. Totally understandable. We also understand that our main character of the story is married to Sammy, and they also have a child named London, which are relevant to the story later on. They end up losing their memory, track of time, bit weird. Later on, we find out a couple of weeks later that they've been seeing it every single night. It's certainly weird. Other people see it. They aren't really so interested. They're like, it's so what? So there's another moon. What's up with that? Who cares? But the wife, Sammy, even Sammy's a little scared, which is good. So our protagonist isn't quite alone in the bizarreness of what's going on. But yet again, only can see it at night. Can't see it in the daytime. We'd see a picture. Can't see in the daytime. Later on, there's some questions from other Twitter users, so they just do a little bit of answering that, which makes it a little bit like an ARG. Really cool element, if you ask me. And then all of a sudden, one night, Sammy's not in bed. Bit weird, but hey, maybe late night bath run or whatever, so people gotta go to the bathroom late at night. Totally understand it. So they look around for Sammy. Can't really find him. And then all of a sudden, In a dark bathroom, Sammy's just standing there, staring out the window, just looking at the bright object. Really weird. Try to get Sammy's attention. Nothing's working. What is going on? Unbelievable. All of a sudden, Sammy just kind of snaps out of it, takes a shower, goes to bed. Weirdly normal. Later on, things get worse. Sammy starts getting angrier, eating a lot more, kind of a little more sporadic, a little more like, oh, this isn't the person I married. What's going on here? Gets a bit distant, starts getting super obsessed with this glowing object in the sky, the second moon, if you will. She even ends up, and this is a great picture. I got to show it. Let me just pull it up here. There's even a part where she is laying in the grass at night, just staring up at this thing. Couple of times. This happens more than once. Really interesting, really cool detail of the story, right? And so, yet again, just a lot of bizarreness going on. One morning, protagonist is like, you know what? Me and my wife are having a bit of a weird time. I'm going to try to do something nice. I'm going to make some breakfast. Make some eggs. Bring her some eggs. Sammy flips. Sammy explodes. What is wrong with you? Absolutely crazy. Trying to be really nice. Sammy didn't like it. Inevitably, yet again, furious. Arguing. Things aren't looking super great. We don't know what's going on. Twitter users are like, maybe you should talk to the news outlet. You need to kind of, let's get some more eyes on this. And so, our Twitter user does. But then something strange happens. Talking to the news outlet, we hear a term for this object. The twin. The news outlet calls this second moon the twin. Very interesting. Comes up again later. Sammy decides to leave. Sammy decides to take London away. They're just having too many fights. Crazy stuff going on. Doesn't want to be around our protagonist. Uh-oh. Not looking good. We also learn of a person called Nicole. Maybe a sister. Not entirely sure. I don't think it was quite answered in the story, but we, can always find out. And yeah, even Nicole calls it the twin. Dark times for our protagonist. Sammy and London have left. Our protagonist goes, real dark times. Drinking a lot. Having a real tough time. Here's from a friend back from their high school days, Clayton. And Clayton seems relatively normal, a little sketchy, a little on edge, not entirely sure. Sammy ends up texting later on. We're talking about a couple of weeks later at this point. Wanted to be a family again. Wants to be a family again. Twitter's like, dude, don't trust that. Too suspicious. And so, but at the same time, they also were like, yeah, no, you know what? Let's do a poll. Yeah, okay. Let her come home. Why not? Kind of strange. But so Sammy and London come home. And Sammy's super suspicious. Instead of being super angry, super nasty and everything, overly lovely. Oddly lovely. Like creepy levels of super nice, right? But London totally normal. Yet again, it's a kid. You can only expect so much, right? But perhaps a good note. We also find out that even during some of these weird lapses in time, even for our protagonist, they drew something. They drew a bizarre shape in a magazine. I might even have a picture of that here. Let me show you, because a little bit of symbology is always quite cool. Look at that. Got this kind of a circle with this almost cross-like icon just up the top. It's strange. Maybe nothing dangerous. Hard to say. Sorry, having neighbors over for dinner. A little bit weird. Not a very normal thing that these guys tend to do. The other thing is that a lot of the conversations tend to end up being about the twin. An awful lot of pleasantries about the twin. Very nice conversations about the twin. Not our protagonist, though. Our protagonist is just listening. Just taking in all this information. Finding everybody acting very suspicious. And rightly so. Clayton gets back in touch. Sammy's like, non-believers will be deleted. That's a great line, isn't it? Non-believers will be deleted. And yeah, there's too much weirdness going on. And then we have a crazy moment in the story. The twin starts making some noises again. And all of a sudden, London, their child goes missing. Just like that. Gone. Horrifying moment. Protagonist doesn't really know what to do. My wife is acting bizarrely strange. Our child has now gone missing. I have a friend from high school who randomly texts me every once in a while. I don't know what to do. Decides, you know what? This is too much. This is too much. I gotta trust my gut. I'm getting out of here. Decides to link up with Clayton. Gets out of the house. Gets out of the bizarre situation that's going on. Makes sense. Really good. They have this plan to potentially try to leave the state. Doesn't go super well. Clayton, sadly, gets killed. Our protagonist ends up getting their gun, hiding out in the woods. Pretty interesting. Pretty great. Let's see. While hiding in the woods, we learn of a new face to the story, Banji. Banji's an interesting character, and definitely one that I want to talk about a little bit later on. Banji keeps our protagonist safe in the woods, in like a little treehouse and things like that. Really, really interesting. Keeps him away from the armed men. Everything seems fine. Banji also seems to be very knowledgeable about the twin. So much so, gives a notepad and a pen to our protagonist. And every night that they meet up, Banji shares knowledge about the twin and makes sure that our protagonist has been writing things down, because it might end up becoming transcribed into a book. Which is very interesting. Very interesting, that. And the agreement, Banji seems so knowledgeable, saying, if we can get this book done, I can link you back up with London. I can get your daughter back. But you have to trust me. So through blind faith, does that. Every night, they link up, writes more of this book. Have a good little time. You know, they do a little bit of drinking and having a laugh and everything like that, suspiciously. But inevitably, they finish this book. And just like that, Banji's like, hey, you know, you're going to get your daughter back. Don't worry about it. All of a sudden, a text. A text comes in from Sammy. And you know what it says? Oh my God, our daughter's back. Our daughter's back. She's home. You should come home. Unbelievable. So our protagonist, of course, overwhelmed with emotions, decides, yeah, I'll go home. It's been so long. I'm exhausted. I'm tired of all this running and all this craziness that's going on. I'm going to go home. And so they go home, only to walk into their door and end up encountering a doppelganger. And our protagonist, sadly, doesn't really get to keep on the story. That's where their story ends. Because they die. It's a crazy story. Yet again, there's a lot more detail. There's a lot more pictures, images, videos, and things like that. There's a whole, like Dustyn said, there's a whole 2-hour video as well of it in case you want to digest it that way. There's a number of ways to get it. But it's an awesome story. It's an awesome story. There's so much interesting, bizarre, intricate detail that just, it grips you. It grips you so much. There's a mystery. There's such a big underlying mystery that's going on, right? And I find, for me, I'm so excited to get potentially some answers today. I really hope you guys are too. Good. Keep some of these questions coming to live chat. I'll definitely get back to these. That's great. So, Dustyn, I'd like to start with the name of the project. The Binary Moon Project. It is a great name. It's a great name. Could you give us a little bit more detail as to why you named it that?
Well, I wanted to, obviously, Binary Moon speaks to there being, it's indicating, right, that there are two moons or two dominant light sources in the sky. And then Project was, just a little bit of an Easter egg, I guess, for anyone to paying close attention that this is some sort of an experiment or some sort of, project, if you will, being done on this person, right? So, I think the name kind of encompasses really what's going on in the story, and that's why I chose to name it that.
Solid answer. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
What inspired you to make a story like this?
So I had already at the time I'd already been doing paranormal type stories online. I've worked for a variety of other paranormal YouTube channels, some very, very, very big. So a lot of my stories, and I would be perfectly clear, like I'm never really that concerned with, the amount of views my stories get or just the amount of people that it reaches. That's something that's like not really that interesting to me. What's interesting to me is the creative process behind creating the story and creating something that will cultivate a cult following, if you will, right? And just live on, right? Live on the internet and and have people scratching their heads and being like, never quite really knowing what happened.
Hmm.
And so I will say that when I started Binary Moon Project, I was coming off of, I had, millions upon millions of views with some of my other stories, some of these other videos that have been published online. And I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something unique, right? And I at the time, I had been really closely following Fantastic Daily, and he was the one that actually broke my story and, started it, if you will. But Fantastic Daily was actually really good friends at the time, also with the creator of The Sun Vanished. I'm not sure if you're... I think you've done a video on The Sun Vanished.
We're quite familiar with The Sun Vanished here, yeah.
Yeah. So I really liked that method of storytelling, and I was like, you know what? Let's try my hand at this, and we'll see where this could go. And I wanted to make it. I wanted to bring in a domestic element to my story, right? And that's what made it so different and intriguing for people, is there was like the domestic lore where you're like within the family structure, and it's like super personal, and there's like, you're talking about, this man's daughter and his wife, and you can relate on a weird way, and in a weird way to what's going on here, because it is so personal. And so I will say it was a mixture of the way that Fantastic Daily covered stories, the type of stories he was covering, and then also kind of loosely following The Sun Vanished, that I thought, hey, I'm going to try this Twitter story thing. I think it might be kind of fun to do.
Wow. Oh, that's really interesting that The Sun Vanished also had a bit of an impact on you to do such a thing. Wow.
Oh, for sure. And just so you know, like, complete transparency, like that, The Sun Vanished was a project that many people had their hands in. Like, he had CGI, he had all kinds of crazy stuff going on in that story. So it was more or less a small team of people that were working on that story.
So I mean, yeah, for sure. I know for me, because when I was working on the videos for The Sun Vanished, actually, I did reach out to a couple of the creators involved, but the ones that I could tell from Twitter, and I know Theo was one that I was able to actually get in contact with, and it was quite interesting to kind of learn a little bit about the story, even from them, just kind of like how kind of it came to be. But this is a little bit more background information than even I was told. That's very, very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and through that process, it was really cool, because I guess we'll get into Fantastic Daily's role to play here and all of that. But I was introduced to some people, and was able to actually speak with a lot of these other creators, and that was cool to kind of get into that inner circle as well. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, I can't even imagine that. That's incredible. So, out of all the platforms to make it on, why Twitter?
I think Twitter was, at the time, it was a really interactive platform, right? I wanted the story to be interactive. I actually wanted the story to be far more interactive than it ended up being on Twitter. The Twitter polls and things that I would do, that there would, the fans would help me decide what to do in particular moments in the story. We'll talk about this a little bit later, I'm sure, but I ended up taking the story from Twitter to Discord. And the majority, I would say about 80% of the story, was actually done in a Discord server, separate from this Twitter account. And that's the reason I did that, is because I wanted to play with people. I wanted people to be engaged on a level they had never really been engaged with a story before. And that's ultimately what made the story crash and burn. It made Fantastic Daily kind of turn his back on me, because a lot of the things that started happening in that Discord server they became detrimental to people's mental health. Like, people started struggling with mental health issues over this story and some of the things that were happening in that Discord server, which I never intended. I mean, I'm a person who cares deeply about other people. I would never intentionally or deliberately want to hurt somebody, but there was a lot of people that were very invested in the way this story was being told on Discord, and as a result, I ended up actually kind of hurting a lot of people, and so I have a lot of regrets about taking it to Discord.
Well, it's obviously not really fully your fault. I can understand why you feel you should take a level of responsibility for it, and I applaud you for that. But your intentions were good. It was to just kind of do more interactivity, a little bit more fun role playing and storytelling, and playing around with different mediums to make a story a little bit more than just text on a screen, right? And so, if anything, I applaud the creativity, but I do understand why you feel guilt about the fact that it was detrimental to certain people's mental health. I mean, if anything, yeah, that's not ideal at all. But I can't fully blame you for it though. It's sadly not what you were going for. It's not what you wanted to do. You were just trying to have some fun and get other people involved, really. What were you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and a lot of the reason too that I found it prudent to go to Discord, I think there's a level of like maturity to this story that there's not a lot of other stories like it, and so I discovered that there were a lot of minors that were following the story and consuming the content and at the time I was taking kind of that stance like, hey, you know what, I'm putting the content out there on the internet. It's the parents' job to monitor their children. They shouldn't be, they shouldn't be consuming my story, and there's nothing I can do about that, right? But as I wanted to go and explore more of the mature aspects of the story, the R-rated aspects of the story, if you will, I was like, you know what, it might be time to take this away, to more of a closed group of people that we can control who has access and who doesn't.
Completely understand that. Yeah, that is always definitely the problem with the internet. The fact that I mean, no matter what kind of policing people want to do, and whether the intentions be good or just merely for profit or whatever, it's true. You can't fully control what people see or consume online. You just can't. You could do everything you can to safeguard people, but ultimately, especially with kids, I mean, I would say teenagers, especially, maybe even younger. I'm not entirely sure. They will always find a way to see things that they're probably not supposed to see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And ultimately it comes down to the household.
Yeah.
The parents need to be making sure that their kids are being safe on the internet. So, yeah.
No, I get that. I totally get that. Oh, well, that's quite interesting. Quite some interesting insight. So, let's talk a little bit more story-wise. So, what can you tell us about the twin?
So the twin, let's see. I'm trying to see here for the future questions we may get into. Okay, so the twin was kind of a glimpse into the overall premise of the story, right? So I don't know if I want to reveal the overall premise of the story quite yet, but
Fair.
The idea behind the story is that what you see or the person you see may not be the only version of that person or thing that exists in this story. I think that's as cryptic as I can say it right now.
Okay.
So does that make sense? It may not be the only version of that person.
Yeah, it does make sense. It certainly. Okay. That's it's got my cogs. It's got my cogs turning. The one hamster cog I've got in my brain. It is turning. The hamster might be dead, but it's turning.
Yeah. The premise of the story, right? I think that the twin was a very appropriate name for the overall premise of what's going on here.
I mean, it makes sense. It's like a twin to the moon. I completely get that. Even if it's
absolutely
maybe not. I mean, yet again. That's the thing about it, right? We don't know exactly what this thing looks like. We just understand it's far away. It makes you think of like the moon. That's why people would think of it as a binary moon. And the twin, there's a lot of parallels to that. But again, we don't know exactly what's going on. So who knows? We'll see what insights you choose to give us or not. And completely understandable either way.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, on to the next question. So at the start, you made a call to Fantastic Daily. And even later on, you also did as well on Discord. Did he know about the project beforehand, or was this a surprise to him?
So no, he had no idea that I was going to call. He absolutely zero idea whatsoever. I hadn't even spoken to Fantastic Daily on a personal level at that point, right? We hadn't spoken one-on-one at all. I was just a consumer of his content. And to be totally honest with you, I didn't even have a story when I called. I was like, I'm gonna call. I have an interesting idea here. I'm gonna call during his live stream. I'm gonna annoy the crap out of his chat, see if he'll bring me on, see if he'll talk to me.
Wow.
And I'm not gonna waste all this time writing this story if I'm not gonna be able to launch it properly, right? So, I wanted to just kind of test the water, and he took the bait and got people very intrigued. And so afterwards, I was like, well, crap, I guess I need to actually sit down and write a story now. So, so I sat down and wrote a story. And then I later produced that video. I don't know if you remember the video of me inside my car where I get taken, right?
Yeah.
So I produced that video and I emailed it to him and I said, hey, I was the man. So what was really hard, it was super difficult, is I knew he did these live streams every Saturday night on Discord. And I knew that I had one shot to get this right. So I went in there and I built it up like I did, and you could tell that he was kind of trying to play it off, kind of trying to be silly, right? And I'm like, okay, if I'm going to really sell this right now, I have to disappear, I have to leave the server, I have to leave the live stream, and I can't come back, right? So it was difficult not to go back and listen to what people were saying about me after I left. But I knew he published the live streams. It was every Saturday night. He published them the next day. So I'm like, I know I'll be able to go back and see what they said. And people were really, really intrigued about what was going on, what happened, why, like if this guy was looking for, notoriety, like why would he just leave? Why wouldn't he come back? And so I sold it well, and then I created that video, emailed it to him the next day or a couple days after, and he did an update on his channel. And I'm like, okay, well, let's create the Twitter story. So the Twitter story begins, I'm kind of doing a recap of what's already happened, right? And I'm just kind of, laying out the series of events that has brought us to where we are. And so, yeah.
It's so fascinating to just get so much more insight to the creative process in some of these stories. It's truly incredible, truly incredible. So you had an idea of a story when you contacted Fantastic Daily, but you didn't know it was going to go to the length it went to, right?
No, and I think obviously to have a story, you have to have an audience, right? If you're publishing a story to no one, that's cool and everything, but it's an audience. An audience is pivotal, and so
I think it helps. Yeah, I do agree with you. I think it helps.
Yeah, it definitely helps. And so, finding creative ways to force that audience, and obviously going to the right audience itself, right? I knew that his audience would obviously really enjoy this type of thing, right? So that's why I approached him. Finding the right audience and being specific with who you want to attract is really helpful as well.
Yeah. No, completely understand that. Got to target niches. Completely get it. Completely get it. No, a lot of great reasoning. A lot of great reasoning to that. I completely have to agree. So, next question. And yet again, you don't have to reveal names or anything like that. Absolutely understandable. Is that your real family in the story?
Absolutely, 100% it is. Yeah. So Sammy's really my wife, and London is she's my first child. I have three children now, and she's my oldest. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, my wife. It's funny. I drag my wife into all kinds of crap. She's always doing this type of stuff with me. She's actually. I wish that I could give more information on the other projects that I have done than that I'm currently doing online, but I've been told that I cannot reveal where they are published. But she's actually getting ready to star in another story that is launching tomorrow.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, that's incredible stuff. And yet again, obviously, if there are things you're not allowed to reveal, completely understandable. Don't want to get you in trouble or anything like that. But if you ever do feel like you wanna advertise a little bit of stuff at the end, maybe let us know what kind of things you are allowed to say, maybe if things you're working on or whatever, or where you want us to maybe point people if they want to support you in your works and things like that. You're more than welcome to, because I know I'm curious, because I really enjoyed this story alone. So to know that you've done other things as well obviously makes me be like, well, I got to see what other really fucking crazy cool ideas he's got,
I'll send you some stuff personally, privately.
Okay. I like that plan. I like that plan.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think so. Can I dive into? I think it's a very important distinction to make, right? So obviously, your audience knows that all of this is just fiction, right?
I would
And there's
certainly
what
hope so. Yeah.
yeah, what I've found though is there's two types of paranormal content consumers. There are people that are in it for the story; they really enjoy just the spookiness of it, and they know it's a story, they know it's fake. And then there are other people that want it to be real so badly that they'll convince themselves that it's real. And those are the dangerous types of people. And right. And so when you're in this space, and I do believe that I'm seeing some people in your chat here who are also creators. I will give a word of warning. There are a lot of people out there that like they may not even like consciously they may not even they believe it's true, but they want it to be true so badly, they're looking for something to believe in so badly that they will convince themselves that this is true. And you have to be careful with those people. That's why I was very, very careful not to show my face or my family's face or any of our faces in this story. It was done very creatively to avoid that. And it's funny because it was done creatively, I think, pretty well. There's people that don't even realize that they haven't even seen my face in the story. Like I while it was going on, I was talking to people and they're like, actually, I didn't even realize I haven't even seen your face. Like, that is crazy. But it's important to maintain a level of anonymity when you're doing this stuff, because you just never know who's watching and what they're trying to believe about your story.
Great advice. Great advice. He's completely right, though. You do have to be very, very careful, especially the more the technology continues to advance and bizarre things are going on. You just never know. You never know who's
Absolutely.
watching or what they are capable of. And sadly, not everybody is a super cool person. It's just a fun fact of life.
Right. And can I tell you a quick story also about Fantastic Daily?
Of course, go for it.
So Fantastic Daily, before he started covering these stories, he had his own story on YouTube. So he started YouTube, from what I understand, in the paranormal space. He started YouTube by creating a story about black-eyed children. Have you ever heard of the term black-eyed children?
Oh my goodness, I do know of this. Yes.
So he created the black-eyed children story.
Right.
The story was he had a friend who had a ranch, and he went and stayed out at this ranch for a number of weeks, recorded the story. The whole idea was there was these black-eyed children in the woods. They were, she was trying to figure out what they were, ghosts, creatures, what they were. But he was doing a bunch of research in his story on these black-eyed children. And he did it so well, it was so convincing. He convinced, I would say, it was like 75% of the people that watched the content on YouTube believed it was real. So he was very convincing about it. But what ended up happening is these people were able to pull from the video, use geographical landmarks in the video, triangulate on where it was being shot, figure out where this ranch was. And there was a group of them that showed up at the ranch ready to defend his property with firearms. This really happened.
Wow.
Like they showed up to the ranch with there was like 20, 30 people that showed up, band together to come help him protect his house from these black-eyed kids. And so when that happened, he was doxxed, all the information got out, everybody knew where he was located. He's like, I'm shutting this shit down right now. So he, put an end to it. He ended up getting restraining orders against multiple people, and he went dark for a period of time. And then he came back to YouTube as Fantastic Daily to cover these stories. But that's just an example of how dangerous this can be with certain types of people.
Wow, that's a tremendous story. It's horrifying. It's terrifying, and you're completely right. It really does remind you that you never know what people are capable of. That's God. That is. Sure. I mean, at least I suppose they came with good intentions of wanting to help, but that is a bit creepy, weird. That is pretty freaking.
Yeah. Well, and people were livid with him when he came out and had to reveal that it was fake. People were livid with him. that it was fake. And so that presents its own level of like, what's going to happen now that all of
Yeah.
these people were so bought into this story and now they're hearing it's fake.
Yeah, yeah. That is definitely one of the hardest parts about trying to tell a story online is the fact that if you want it to feel realistic. I mean, the Twitter stories are some of the best examples of that. The fact that it's you got the timestamps, you got an account that's posting up updates,
Yeah.
making it feel like it's more realistic than a fictional story, even if it still can come across as fictional. But like you said, a lot of people might take it as real. And
Right.
the problem is you don't always want to reveal that it is fictional because it might ruin the flow or it might wreck people's immersion and stuff like that. But it is prudent to remind people that hey, this isn't real. Please don't do anything. Please don't dox.
Right.
Because God, yeah, it's just
Yeah, it can be a very scary world for sure.
Believable, unfreaking believable. That is quite a story. That is. I hope that's an eye-opening moment for quite a few people. That is crazy stuff. Holy cow! All right, to get us back into a slightly more pleasant note, question 7 I've got for you. So, in the story, it's moments where you have skin peeling, but you haven't been sunburned. Is there some kind of bizarre moonburn going on? Can you tell us anything?
Yeah, the idea behind that was radiation.
Okay.
that,
Radioactivity
yeah.
going on. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is I think that the people sometimes get frustrated with things not being explained for them in stories, but the best types of stories, especially in this genre, kind of leave it to the viewer's mind to figure out what's going on, right? Like not necessarily giving all the answers, I think is 9 out of 10 times the best way to go.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to leave things up to interpretation and things like that. I could completely understand that. Mystery is fun. Mystery is fun.
Absolutely, yeah.
Next question. Even though you had missing time from your interactions with the twin, which we do see from time to time, it seems to mess with you less as the story goes on and move to focus on others, including Sammy. Is the twin sentient? Does it talk to people it controls like a hive mind? Anything like that?
So yeah, the idea behind obviously Michael is the focal point of the story. Michael needed to maintain a level of lucidity, I think, that other characters, because he has to be self-aware because he's the one telling the story, right? So there has to be a very dynamic element to Michael that doesn't really relate to other characters. I wouldn't say that I intentionally made the twin mess with him less. And as the story goes on, I think you can kind of see him slipping further and further into delusion and kind of start going crazy. But he has to maintain a level of self-awareness to tell the story.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That makes sense. So, would you still say that the twin is sentient? Is it specifically targeting people?
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So this isn't just a random astral object that is just messing with people by coincidence because of it being there. It is something that it is actively doing. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Is it like a hive mind kind of situation going on though, or is it just kind of a just strange?
So the hive mind element, I would say, yeah. I mean, we could say it's a hive mind. There's collective communication, if you will, but definitely a lot of it's being controlled by the twin itself.
Yeah, that definitely seems to be the case, or at least that's what I took away from the story. Because especially with the fact that so many of the people are acting on the twins' behalf, it seems. So it makes sense. Okay, can you tell us a bit what happens when the twin takes over a person?
So the twin is extraterrestrial beings, right? So the twin is aliens, and so there is a level of I wanted there to be a level of almost religion to this, right? And obviously
Is
you
like a
you can
level of
see that
worship in
later in the
parts,
story.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This these aliens come and they start affecting people in ways that are very odd, and people start more or less worshiping the twin, and that kind of really gives it like a pretty eerie vibe. I think I wouldn't say that the twin necessarily takes over people. The twin influences them to be more inclined toward it, right? But
Mm.
I don't think that the twin necessarily takes over people.
Okay, okay. It's like a heavy influential kind of a thing that I guess
Yeah.
maybe it warps their mind. Hard to kind of say, but I guess it makes them definitely. I'm trying to think of how to word it. Okay,
And as much as I would say, as much as I would say it, I'd like to claim that I was like this crazy mastermind behind all of this, and I had every element planned out. I really didn't, man. A lot of this was I sat down and wrote this over the span of a week after Fantastic Daily Bit on it, and I again, a lot of the way that I've told my stories in the past, a lot of them are like flash in the pan stories, right?
Mm.
They get millions of views. They're flash in the pan stories. They start cult followings, and there's whole segments of there's subreddits dedicated to my stories. A lot of my stories in the past have been like, hey, here's what you need to know. You're gonna have like 75 questions about what I just told you, but I'm never going to answer them for you. And so this was a very unique form of storytelling for me, where it was ongoing, and I was continuing to post updates, and I didn't anticipate. I will say that based on what you have on Twitter, there's still a lot of unanswered questions, and I don't even have the answers to all the questions. Right? A lot of the way I put this story together was based off of how I had done paranormal stories from the past, where I leave you with a bunch of questions to inspire a lot of conversation, to keep the story to allow the story to live on, if you will. I can understand how that would be frustrating to people trying to consume a story in long form like this is, but again, like I wouldn't say that I was entirely prepared to tell a story like this the way that I was telling it. And so there are a lot of holes, and there's a lot of questions that I don't even have the answers to.
No, that's fair. Nothing wrong with that. It's at least good to know. And
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
I can completely understand when, especially when you want to leave some things up to the air of mystery, and that might be part of the reason why either you won't say anything or you just don't have an answer for it yourself. Even, I could completely understand that, and I agree. Some people would find it frustrating. I know I do, but for me, the longer a thing goes on, the more I'm expecting answers. There might be more mysteries, but I would also expect more answers to come from it, right? Whereas I feel like with
Absolutely.
this, it's got a good enough length where I appreciate the fact there is mystery. Yeah, I'd like a little bit of info, but then again, that's part of the reason why we're doing this. I might be able to get a little bit more info, which would satisfy me. But I
Uh-huh.
also feel like it's a good enough length where I'm fine with it being like, hey, you're not going to know all the answers, but it's going to make you think, and that's part of the magic, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
And I will say that I probably should have made it a little bit more rounded than it is. I should have answered more questions. But again, a lot of the story went to Discord. A lot of questions were answered in Discord. But again, there's no record of that, and so
Yeah.
that's what's frustrating about this is what 6 years later, trying to go back on a story and
You only get
plug
bits
the
and
holes,
pieces.
so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. I completely get that. That's definitely one of the more frustrating things with any kind of storytelling these days. I know. To bring it to an incredibly random place, the past couple of weeks slash months, me and my brother, we've been like live streaming and reviewing old Slenderverse content, including Everyman Hybrid. And one thing that really frustrated me about Everyman Hybrid is the fact that it's incredibly long. And the story isn't just in one place, it's in a variety of places. And sadly, not all of it is incredibly accessible to this day and age. And you have to go through an entire wiki to really try to get an idea of what's going on. but the wiki is completely fan run, and it's not their fault that they don't even have access to everything, nor can they keep track of everything because there's too much. And even at the end of it, you don't really get great answers, and it's just incredibly frustrating. But it's also just the fact that like not all the story is available, and that's one of the worst parts, right? Because then that might help bridge people together with a little bit more information and a little bit more connectivity. But when you have such bizarre gaps in the story, yeah, I completely agree with you. It could be very frustrating. But that's yet again, it's not really your fault. You didn't know that was not going to have a level of record at this point in time. You know, you were kind of hoping that they would carry on the torch and help out a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with people that get really creative with these kind of things. I'm like, you think people would record these kind of really interesting live stream interactions, but you know, it is what it is. So yeah.
Well, and a lot of the story, honestly, like I did, if I had to guess, probably like 10 live streams with Fantastic Daily during the course of this story, and his channel's gone now. You know, he took his channel down. I don't know why. I don't know what ended up happening in the end. I don't know why he ended up taking his channel down in the end. But you know, a lot of that was living on Fantastic Daily's channel. He did multiple videos, kind of doing what you did, where he would cover, you know, okay, this is what's happened this week. This is what's happened, you know, over the last couple of weeks. And a lot of that's just gone now. So there were people that were doing that. It's just been so long. A lot of that stuff is gone now.
Oh God. 10 live streams with him. That is a substantial amount of storytelling. Wow.
We did a lot of live streams, yeah.
Wow. I can't even imagine. Well, I suppose yet again that the Twitter somewhat reflects the level of probably what happened, but I do feel like there might have been a fair amount of exclusive things that happened in some of those Discord calls, and that's amazing.
There was a lot, man. I mean, it was very much, and there is a part of me that kind of likes I kind of like the, hey, if you weren't there at the time, you missed it. I kind of like that a little bit, like the exclusivity of it. But it certainly doesn't help for, you know, trying to talk about a story 6 years later.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I think it definitely works for elements of a story, especially if it's like, you know, it was a cool thing to be a part of, like an ARG, for example. Like it's a great experience to be a part of at the time, but even so, like if you wanted people to get the entire story, and let's say they did have access to all of those live streams of the Discord calls, there's also going to be a lot of that they don't need, right? And so yet again, they won't get the same experience because yet again, like you said, they weren't there at the time when it was happening, when it was more magical, and that's I completely get that. I completely get that. If you weren't there for it, well, it wouldn't be the same now, and that's just a fact of life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And there was a lot of people. I mean, there was at one point there was just over like 13,000 people that were following the Twitter page.
Wow.
And then there was a couple thousand people in the Discord. So yeah, I mean, it was what's crazy. I think what happened is when Elon bought Twitter, a lot of accounts were terminated. A lot of people unfollowed it because they were pissed off about it moving to Discord.
It was a big change, big shakeup, you know.
Yeah.
What a strange time. What a strange time we live in. All right.
Absolutely.
So, let's see. We've done that one. Oh, question 10. Does the twin have a goal?
The twin has a goal, yes. The twin, like I said, there's almost a religious element to the story, right? So the twin, I would say the twin's goal ultimately is deception, to lead people astray, to become the most important the most important thing in people's life, when that is in fact incorrect.
Like worshiping a false god, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I guess a level of brainwashing kind of going on, but like you said, it's not direct. It is like an indirect subtlety thing over time. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Here's another one I've actually got an image for as well. Let me pull that up. So,
the map.
Yeah, the map.
I know
That's
it's
right.
going to be the map.
Yep, the map we see later in the story confirms that the world isn't exactly the same as ours. So, yet again, I mean, we could probably talk all day about a variety of it, but Lastaba, what's such an interesting name for a place? Is there any information about that?
So, the simple answer to why I did this, I mean, it's incredibly simple. I needed a way to take a break from the story, and so I'm like, hey, I don't want to go. I want it to be like a mysterious element to the story that would allow me to take breaks and be believable to the story, right? Because it, like, this guy who's documenting something that's happening in a relatively short amount of time, there's not going to be any realistic reason for him to take a break. Well, what if I'm in another dimension? What if I'm in an alternate dimension where, sometimes contact is cut off and I'm not able to post to this dimension? It was a mysterious element to the story, and it allowed me. I don't know if you saw in the story where there were periods of time where my tweets weren't going through, in air quotes.
Yep.
That was my ability to, like, take a week off, take a break from the story, because I have a life as well. And there was the story required a lot from me, right? And so, having to do this day after day, and I kind of bit off more than I could chew, so to speak, by doing it like this, because with these other stories, there's a lot of these other stories, they could take breaks, for a week and then post, and there's nobody really questions why. It's just, the next update is in a week. But this one was so much was happening day to day that I needed to have a legitimate reason to the story to space that out.
No, it's a great answer. Great answer. Makes a lot of sense. So
yeah.
Now we have to come up to one of my favorite topics of the story, Banji. What's going on with Banji? Now, for those of you who might not understand why I find Banji to be one of the most interesting parts of the story, besides the fact that he just appears like a badass, right, is he seems incredibly helpful, which then makes me think it's some kind of a ploy by the twin. And that feels solidified later on when there's a video that is shown that our Michael records, and he's having a bit of a drunk time in a tent, having a good little time, and he's with Banji, but the problem is there's nobody else in the video. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on with the Banji situation?
Yeah, did you catch in that video that Banji actually opens a beer for him and hands it to him?
I did, but yet again, it doesn't help my mind, because I'm like, what's
Yeah. So Banji is very much real, but I wanted to start an argument between people about whether Banji was a figment of Michael's imagination or whether he wasn't. I wanted there to be an argument, because the more people argue, the more conversations happening in general, and the more engagement you get, right? So there needs to be periods of time in storytelling, especially such as Twitter storytelling, where there are forced arguments, right? You manufacture conflict in the comments section, where people are they believe a certain way and they're going to stick by that, and they're so the reason I made him so mysterious is because I wanted that to be the case. But yes, Banji is very much real, and he was sent from the twin to get Michael to transcribe this Bible, so to speak.
These teachings of the twin.
Yeah.
Which I guess somewhat maybe helps answer the next question, but who knows? Do you have any more of Banji's book, or did you just write down that one notepad page?
No. There was over 60 pages of that book.
Actually, like, written down?
Yeah.
Oh my god,
dude! I put a lot. This was a lot of work. Yeah, there was over 60 pages that were revealed in the Discord.
Oh.
The entire book. Somebody took all of the pictures and photocopied them, and like they made a PDF book. I was trying to find it in preparation for this interview. I can't find it though. But yeah, there was over 60 pages of the book.
God, that's incredible. 60 pages.
Yeah.
Wow.
All handwritten. Yeah.
that's a fair amount of work just for one. Oh my goodness. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, I was expecting to hear no, not really, but what, 60 pages. You know what? I wasn't ready for that. That's incredible. Holy cow!
Well, like I said, man, 80% of this story was done in the Discord. So there's a lot of the story that just is lost in time.
It's a bit of a shame, but I suppose it's still good, even just the Twitter piece as it is. It does kind of tell you enough of the story, even if you don't get all the rest of it.
It's enough. It's enough to pique intrigue, I think. Yeah.
And pique mystery, and yet again cause questions. And for me, I mean, it made me go through the entire thing, and I was just like, well, I want to know more. And yet again, when we get to the final question, obviously that's where the more question comes into it. So, question 14: why the abrupt end? If you
well, the abrupt end. Yeah, the abrupt end of the Twitter story wasn't so abrupt to people at the time. I mean, if they chose not to go to the Discord, then that's fine, but they certainly knew the story was continuing, right? But to people that stumble upon it today, it seems like an abrupt end. It was just because there were other posts beyond what you see currently on the Twitter or on the X account. Dropping the Discord link, dropping the Discord invite. The story's been taken here, so people knew where to go. But when the Discord went south, I just went through and deleted all reference of Discord on the Twitter, and just let it be what it was on Twitter.
Fair enough. Completely fair enough. So now we come to my final question before we go to the live questions. So at the end of the project, on the Twitter page especially, you announced a Netflix series in the works for 2021. Can you give us any further info? Is there anything that was gonna that came of that, or did it transition?
That was 100% legit. Yeah. So the story behind that is I was connected before any of the paranormal stuff. I had a podcast, actually, and I did a podcast for years with at the time my co-founder of the business that we had started. We interviewed all kinds of crazy people, thought leaders, influencers worldwide. And one of the people that we were connected with that podcast was the Jackson family publicist. So Michael Jackson's publicist, Bo Jackson's publicist, Paris Jackson's publicist. Like, we actually were connected with the publicist of the Jackson family. So we went to LA. She put us up in a house in the Hollywood Hills. Went to red carpet events. It was a really cool experience. We actually got to sit down and we had dinner with Paris Jackson, Michael Jackson's daughter. This is before his dad passed away. I want to say this was 2016, but anyway, after I had stayed in contact with her, we stopped doing the podcast a couple of years after that, and I had stayed in contact with her. She reached out to me. During kind of this time where I was doing Binary Moon Project and asked me, what I was working on. I sent her the story, and she said she'd actually been in the process of speaking with Netflix representing another client. Netflix was looking to do something different. They wanted to do interactive storytelling. And they've since done that with a couple of Black Mirror episodes. Right. I think there was like a Puss in Boots show that they did that was interactive as well. But she was going to take this to Netflix and pitch the idea of this story being the interactive, test case, if you will, on Netflix. Netflix bit. They were super interested. I actually went to LA. We shot a pilot. We shot the pilot for the show. And we shot the pilot for the show. Everything was looking like it was a go. It was an eight episode first season, and then COVID hit. And things got postponed, and they ended up wanting to take creative control of the story. I had signed because I was, I was not as experienced as I probably should have been dealing with Netflix, and I was ignorant to a lot of what I had, signed. And so I basically, in the contract, discovered that I had signed creative freedom away. And they wanted to take it in a direction that I didn't want to take it, and so I got frustrated. It was right in the middle of the pandemic, and they had to put it on hold anyway, and ultimately they got frustrated with me, and they got frustrated with me too for prematurely announcing it on the Twitter. I wasn't allowed to do that, but I had access to a development version of Netflix, and I took a screenshot of the cover photo and just posted it to Twitter, just letting people know, and they got really upset with that. So it was my understanding when we kind of parted ways that they were going to continue with the story. I haven't heard any news or seen anything, with regards to that. I don't know if they still plan on using the story. I have no idea, but they have total rights to the story. Netflix still does.
That's wild. That's freaking wild.
Yeah.
What a
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So it was very frustrating. I was devastated at the time because it was like they got to the point where they're trying to cut me out of the project entirely, and so it was very frustrating.
I completely understand that. That's insane, especially the fact that like this was your work. This was going to become the next stage of the project. This was going to be an incredible. It was going to be on Netflix. That was going to be wild. And Jesus.
Yeah, it's not really something I like to talk about, honestly, because it just, when I think about it, it just pisses me off.
I would be pissed off with you, my friend. That's the absolute worst.
Yeah.
Knowing that somebody else can do shit with your work. Yeah, I'm pissed off with you, man. That's fucking. God damn, that sucks.
Yeah. But it is what it is, man. I still have the mind that created the story, and I can create more content as I am. So it's not the end of the world.
That's the best news. That's exactly what we like to hear. Wow, I mean, congratulations for even just having the journey that you've had so far. Even with just this one story, it's just the most incredible thing I could even imagine. To know that a Twitter story is just and I suppose mostly a Discord story as well. Is just taking you on such a journey. It's just mind blowing. It truly is.
It's wild, man. It is wild. Once you start getting connected with people who
opens
are
all kinds of doors, isn't it?
Yeah, who are interested. Yeah, they're interested in just the storytelling element and all of that. It's if they like the work, then they will help you see it farther.
True. You got to hope you got the right people on board. I think that's another big part of it. I know for me, I haven't done a massive amount of projects in my life. I've done a couple of creative writing projects, mostly my teenage years when I was really into literature and things like that, which never really saw the light of day. But since recently, I've put them out on my Reddit community just because I was like, for shits and giggles, kind of see what kind of a nerdy guy I was back in high school, and I know I'm working on a project now, which I have big intentions and big plans for it, but the only problem is it's still in a stage where I'm doing a lot of research as well, because there are certain elements I want to include in the story. There's also a website I want to launch with it. There's a number of things that I want to make it more than just a number of stories and have them all be an interconnected world. They can have like collaborators and things like that. But I suppose a big part of it is, yet again, even I don't think I'll ever get it as big as something like that, but it's yet again, I hope I don't get the wrong kind of people as collaborators, because that's always a concern, isn't it? Knowing that somebody can just poo-poo a good name, right?
Yeah, I mean, you never know, man. You never know how far something can go, right? Because you would think that if Netflix was gonna pick something up, that sort of thing would have to have hundreds of thousands, millions of eyes on it. This story only had like 13,000 followers on Twitter.
Yeah,
so
but it was this new kind of an idea to them, really, with the fact that it was more interactive than just a typical story.
Sure, and it was also me knowing the right people to take those avenues and propose the idea. So
yeah,
just never know.
No, good point. You never know. All right, it's time to take some questions from the live chat. Don't worry, I've been keeping an eye on some of these. I will skip certain ones because some of them don't feel super relevant, or I feel like have maybe been answered, but maybe we'll cover certain ones. We'll see. So our first question comes from Moonshine. Great name, great drink. How did you make the light for the second moon?
Oh, dude, this is do you really want to know the answer to this? Because it's very underwhelming.
Hit us with it.
It's very underwhelming. So I literally would either have somebody holding up their phone with the flashlight turned on, or I would string up a phone with the flashlight turned on.
Wow. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
hey, if it works, it works. Nothing wrong with that.
It's a bummer of an answer, I know. I'm sorry, but I'm being truthful.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Let's see. Hell in the Woods, they're actually running their own ARG on X at the moment. It's a little rough, but it's better now. So, any tips and tricks for a new ARG creator?
I think you have to solidify your audience. You have to find an audience. Yeah, to find a creative way to launch the story. Because something like this growing organically, it's really, really difficult to do. To start, posting a story to X and just hope that the right people are going to find you. That's tough, man. So you got to, find the audience. Secondly, I would say have an idea of where the story is going. I think that was a lot of, if I had done a little bit of like pre-planning, I think it probably would have gone a lot better for me. So, but it is difficult offering. So with the type of story I did, right? I offered the ability for people to choose different directions, and sometimes that would be inconsequential. Sometimes that would be a huge change in the story, right? So to have if you're doing some sort of interactive process, you need to have both storylines solidified, because you may think you have an idea of what the audience is going to choose, but they may throw you off.
Very true. Very true. That's definitely a big part of having any kind of interactive elements to a story. The audience will typically surprise you, even if they're trolling, or they might just be serious. You don't know, but it's true. You need to be ready for anywhere the story could go. Don't just have one idea in mind.
Sure,
be prepared for any kind of branch offs, because it's true. You never know.
There was a couple of times where it was like, holy shit, they just want something bad to happen to Michael. What are you guys doing?
It's crazy, right? And then you're like, well, the story would probably end, and then there'd be nothing else. Like, is that what you want? Really?
Right.
People be terrible online, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have another one. Their name is somewhat goofy and inappropriate, but I'll read it for the lols. Chicken Nuggets Mommy Daughter Sexy Time asks, how'd you get the idea for Binary Moon Project?
Nice name, by the way. I like I said, I don't think so. When I was listening to his live stream, and I decided to call the live stream within the span of like 20 minutes. So I had to come up with an interesting premise that I thought would intrigue people. That was literally like, that's how the idea came to me, right? So the beginning, if you're talking about the true beginning of the story, I called the live stream, put on my my show, if you will, and then I got people to buy it onto the story. Then it kind of just had to be written out from there, because I'd already launched this, and I would say I didn't pre-plan the idea at all. I mean, I kind of just, hey, this is the idea I have. I'm going to pitch it. If people like it, and they ended up liking it, and then I had to kind of write the story around that launch.
I think it worked out.
Wish I had a more articulate answer for you on that, but I mean, that's literally how it happened.
Sometimes that's all it takes. You just start with an idea, you see if anybody else is interested, and then that's when you're like, oh shit, I actually have to do it now.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh man. Let's see. Chaos Smith asks, does this mirror at all, intentionally or not, your fears around these kinds of projects?
Does it mirror my fears?
Yeah, around these kinds of projects. I suppose the fears could go all kinds of places, really.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think generally when you're telling a story, you try and tell a story that you yourself would be interested in consuming, right? I don't know if I would say fears, right? I mean, I think the fear of some alien race abducting my child, that's a real fear. I think that I could get behind that fear.
Yeah, I think that's a very logical fear.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think really it's just I'm a consumer of this type of content. I really enjoy the paranormal sphere of the internet. I enjoy the community. I think that it's a great community of people, and I just tried to tell a story that I myself would find intriguing.
Solid answer. Hell in the Woods asks, what was the original ending you had planned, if it was different?
So yeah, the original ending that I had planned was Michael's basically more or less the chosen one, if you will. Um, and he is. I mean, again, there's so much of the story that was not revealed, and so like I'm trying to imagine what is known and what is not by the people that are watching right now, because there's not a lot. There wouldn't be a lot known. So Michael is ultimately the chosen one, and the twin ends up duplicating people, and so the twin inherently will create a clone of everyone. Everyone in the story has a clone, and the idea was that Michael became so insubordinate that he was not able to fulfill his duty as the chosen one. So the twin had to replicate him in order for that to come to fruition.
I thought it was a great ending, personally. Going into his own house and there's another version of
Yeah,
him.
seeing himself.
Just,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. To me, that's horrifying. Walking into your own doppelganger. That's because what are you gonna do? Your mind can go all kinds of places. Is it an alternate dimension version? Is it a parallel universe one? Is it an evil
Yeah.
clone? Is it some kind of bizarre? You just don't know what you're about to deal with. You know what I mean? You hope they're friendly, but it's usually not.
So Michael never actually left the house. So the Michael that was in the woods with Banji was not the real Michael.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Oh, well, that's interesting. Oh, well, okay. Well, I never even thought of such a possibility. That's interesting. That's really, really interesting. So a completely different Michael was using the Twitter account at one point then?
Mm-hmm. Yep, the
Wow.
entire time that he was in the woods. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that wasn't as clear as I wanted it to be. Again, it's always what's interesting to me is like telling stories like this. You always think that you're making points that people are going to catch, and then they don't catch them, and then you're like, well, shit, what do I do now? Like I thought that was good enough to convey the point I was trying to make, but it wasn't, and so. That's one of the, I guess, just speaking again to the people that may be trying to do this, you never quite totally know how people are going to, unless you just come out and like explain it to them, which is not very fun to do, not very fun for the audience or you. You never quite know how people are going to interpret this, and so a lot of it too is it's not even like questions that I intended to be there. It's like I wanted to address this. I just didn't address it good enough. I didn't address it well enough for people to catch on, and now it's just a question that's out there that I never wanted to be there, but I can't fix it.
Well, I mean, I feel like if you ever want to tell people that maybe you've kind of clarified it, just point them here, because that's
Sure,
quite a reveal in my opinion. That's that I mean it changes a fair dynamic of the story. That's so interesting. But it yet again raises more questions. But that's the beauty of it. We actually have a little bit of clarification from Chaos when in relation to the fears question. Chaos says, I meant like the brainwashing to a frenzy with the fear of how far people go.
Yeah.
Makes any sense.
No, I think it could be a cultural statement for sure. I think that there are a lot of situations, a lot of historical stories such as this, or whether it be cults or I mean, really could be anything. But it is. I mean, it does speak to human nature, right? I think it speaks to human nature on a deep level. If you have someone who's charismatic and influential enough, I think that this sort of thing could be a very real possibility for anyone.
We are certainly impressionable and social creatures, no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. I did have one and I've just lost it. Oh no, we've read that one. We've read that one. Oh god, I've lost it. No, where did it go?
Of course, chaos. Yes, absolutely.
We do potentially have a question from Human here. I feel like we've potentially answered it, but I'm happy for us to go over it again just to be on the safe side. Human asks, if I may ask, was the story you ended up creating different than what you envisioned at the start of all this?
Yeah, no, I think it definitely was. I mean, like I mentioned, there are times where you think that you're making this big reveal and people don't quite get it, and so that that inherently has an effect on the story and the way you're trying to tell it, right? So if you have this big reveal, people don't quite get it, then you have to pivot in a way where it's just unknown territory, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of situations where I ended up having to tell the story in a way I didn't necessarily want to, or didn't find to be the best way. But I think having the flexibility when you're telling a story like this is super important. You can't be so dead set on what you want it to be, because I wanted to create an interactive experience. I wanted people to be able to effectively change the story, or at least give the impression that they were changing the story, right? So you have to be flexible and you have to kind of go with the flow. It was, if I had it my way, it probably wouldn't have been as intriguing as it ended up being in the end anyway.
How about that? Good answer. I think it's a really good answer. Nice one. We have another one from Chicken Nuggets Mommy Daughter Sexy Time. Did you read any other ARGs or anything else creep and get inspirations and or what? I feel like I have to
A lot of
translate
people
some of
say,
these.
well, a lot of people say that you like to get inspiration, you have to be a consumer, and I am a consumer of a lot of this stuff, but I really don't like. I almost feel like it's cheating in a way, and this is probably my own. This is probably not like how you should base your view of this at all. But to me, it feels like it's cheating. Like I refuse to use AI to help me with story plots, or
I get that.
I refuse to use any of that, because I want it to come from my own brain. I want to be able to create and say that I created it through and through, right? And I think, and that might be a fault of mine. Maybe I'm not as effective of a storyteller as I could be, but it's just the way that I think. Like I don't like to consume a lot, especially when I'm in the middle of telling stories like this, because if I consume a lot, then I do find that I'm influenced more than I want to be.
Yeah.
And so largely when I'm creating stories, having things published out there, during those periods of time, I try and limit my exposure to other stories, because I don't want that influence creeping in.
Yeah. Because in some cases, some people might be like, oh, I can see where the inspiration came from. And you're like, yeah, but I didn't want it to be like, so obvious. I didn't want to feel like I was ripping off of somebody else. I completely understand that. Completely understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, man. Amazing. Well, I would say we've gone through quite a lot of the questions. If there's any other ones that you guys want to hit us with, now's the time. Start thinking them up. Start hitting us with it, because we'll probably end up wrapping up pretty soon. We've gone well over an hour, but it's been a lovely little time. It's been a lovely little time. In which case, Dustyn, I'm going to give you the floor in case there's anything you would like to talk about or would like to share with us. Maybe there's certain things that you'd like to reveal, or maybe point people in a direction to see where they could support you in your future works, or anything of that kind of nature.
Yeah, man. I kind of just, so the main issue here is I've been sworn to. So I do have other work out there. I have created a lot of stories, a lot of things, but I've been told that I must keep those things private, because a lot of them are not on my own platforms, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of like the mystery behind it. I kind of like people. I don't want this stuff to be tied to me. I want it to be, I want it to have its own culture around each and every story I do. I want for people to talk about it and follow it, not quite know if it's true, not quite know what's going on there. I like that element. So I wish that I could maybe drop a few things, but I don't really want to, and I've been told that I can't in some situations. So yeah.
Fair enough. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with secrecy, especially in certain regards where you're not allowed to. I completely understand that. Let's see. We do have a couple
Absolutely.
of questions popping up. Let's see. Hell in the Woods asks, have you read any other ARGs after Binary Moon Project?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I've kept up a lot with the ARG arena. I mean, I own a national brand. We're in national retailers and whatnot. So I'm pretty busy with day to day life. So I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of that. Um, I will say that a lot of the earlier ones. What's the one with the girl that was on Twitter with that weird monster thing?
Oh,
Or
hi,
not on
I'm
Twitter.
Mary Mary.
Yes, yes, yes. Not on
Yeah,
Twitter, on YouTube.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like those were intriguing,
Hmm?
a little goofy, a little silly, but
Yeah, Alex the Monster, whatever it was. It was an
yeah,
interesting story. Very, very good storytelling. I think she still kind of does projects nowadays, but I haven't really kept up with her since she kind of came back into the space.
yeah. And there's been a couple of interesting ones that have launched on TikTok too. Um, there was a paranormal one. This lady bought a house, and her house was haunted, and that's kind of
Mm,
how she started her TikTok following.
yeah,
But more or less, I'm not super engaged, and I'm not really that much of a consumer, to be honest with you. I'm more, when I'm feeling especially motivated or inspired, I'll do something, throw it out there. But other than that, I'm not really consuming a whole lot anymore.
I get that. Especially because, you don't always have the time as well and interests change and things like that. I completely understand that. Completely. Let's see. Human asks, if I could ask another, do you have any regrets for how it ended or started or just was told in general? If so, what are your biggest regrets?
100%. I wish I didn't take it to Discord. I wish I didn't take the story to Discord. I wish that I would have, kept it on a more public platform. That way, it was, the story was more available nowadays. Yeah.
It's fair. Completely fair regret. Let's see. Travis McIntyre. I'll ask it, Travis, but I do feel like he's not allowed to talk about future things, but we'll see. You never know. He might be able to say something. Travis asks, what do you plan for your next ARG?
Well, what's funny is I think Travis knows.
Oh,
I think Travis knows what my next ARG is, dude. I think that Travis has insider information about some things that are currently going on.
oh, well, how about that? How about that? Well, either way, you might not be allowed to tell us, which is fair enough. But in which case, very funny, Travis. Very funny for you to pop up and tease a little bit of that. Then. Let's see. Oh, well, that's an interesting one, Chaos. So Chaos asks, I'm wondering about the parallels between this and being a DM for Dungeons and Dragons, maybe.
A dungeon master?
Yeah,
No, dude, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons in my
really?
life.
Ah,
No.
you're quite good with the storytelling aspect, so you'd probably make a pretty good DM.
I think I am. Well, I'm definitely interested in like really high strategy tabletop games, but I've never played Dungeons and Dragons. No,
It's pretty fun.
I've been invited a couple of times, but I've never actually sat down and played it.
Fair. I mean, not everybody. I mean, not everybody even gets the chance sometimes as well. But I've had the grace to play it quite a number of times. I'm still playing 2 campaigns at the moment, myself personally. But I'm a nerd, so I can't help it. What are the kind
As
of
am I.
tabletop strategy games you play? Were we talking like Warhammer level? Or are we talking other things?
No, like I'm not going that deep, man. I'm like, I'm into like terraforming Mars, Scythe,
Ah, that's good. I like that. Yeah, yeah,
those
yeah.
types of games. Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah. The strategic board games. I'm with you. I'm completely with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of that's gonna be really
Yeah.
fun. I like that. Who would have thought we'd talk about some dirty stuff? That's great.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think we've already covered that one. Answer the question. We should play. Planning and counting. I could ask Travis, but yet again, don't know what all is allowed to be revealed. But I will ask just to be safe. Travis asks, "Have you worked with anyone before?" I mean, I imagine
Absolutely,
you
I
have.
have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just don't know
I'm
how many
currently
name drops you
working
could do.
with
So
with people. Yeah, I mean the thing is, so there's one primary YouTube channel that I have created a lot of content for. This YouTube channel is a massive YouTube channel in the paranormal world. And I have spoken with the owner of that channel recently about this upcoming interview, and he has explicitly told me, and really what it is, he's told me that he doesn't want information. He doesn't want insider information being given out, i.e., he doesn't want people knowing definitively that the content published on his channel is not real. Or a lot of the content published on his channel is not real, because he likes to leave it open for interpretation. And so I can respect that. And there's nothing like super mysterious about it. It really just comes down to that. He likes it. He likes his audience. He likes it leaving it open to interpretation.
yeah,
So
getting him really immersed and stuff. I completely get it. Completely get it. I think it's quite fun. Travis asks,
I'll send you some stuff, man. I'll send you some stuff afterwards, like I promised.
"Oh yeah. You do that. I'll keep a secret. I'm really curious." Travis asks another interesting question, which I feel like maybe is also teasing stuff about what you're going on, but we'll see. We'll see what this is. How do you feel about time travel ARGs?
I think they're interesting. I think they're interesting.
It's fair answer. It's a fair answer.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that's all it takes. It's interesting, and I agree. Yeah, it's interesting. The idea is good, but it's not like there's a massive amount of them out there. Hell in the Woods.
I'm a big fan of the paranormal in general. I like it all, man.
I do love me some paranormal stuff too, but that's weirdly not where my channel took me at first. But I've always liked the idea of the paranormal, and I might not be a personal believer. I am a fair skeptic, but I'm always open. I'm always open. It's just I've never had like an experience myself that's told me like it's real, But I'm open. I'm open to it. Just never happened. So, I want to like go get spooked. I want to go to do some haunted things and try to figure out some stuff. But it's just I never had an experience, so can't really say I fully believe it yet. But I love the stuff. I love watching ghost hunting things and anything else supernatural and paranormal. I love that kind of stuff. Let's see. Hell in the Woods. We've already asked about ARGs, so we're not gonna ask again. People saying loving the answers. We should play. You give big DM energy, so I had to ask. That's a fair point, Chaos. I agree. He does give some big DM energy, which can't be taken the wrong way if we're not careful. So we got to be real careful. Oh, that's nice. Hope your kids are doing good, and wife. That's very nice of you to say, chat. Very good. You're sadly not alone and never playing D&D. Well, how about that? I mean, there's plenty of you people out there. Nothing wrong with that. You're missing out. But at the same time, you might also play a bad game of D&D, in which case, that's even worse, in my opinion. So that sucks.
Thanks for the well wishes, Hell in the Woods. I appreciate that.
It's very nice. And Human, this might be our last question, and then we'll probably see about closing remarks and wrapping up because it's been an hour and a half, and I imagine we all have places to go and people to be. Human asks, are there any characters you were hoping to include into your story but couldn't fit into the current story? Like the views picked an opinion that didn't allow it?
Oh yeah, there are a lot of characters in the Discord. A lot of characters that are not even mentioned on the Twitter. Yeah, like I said, man. I mean, there's nothing. I wouldn't change anything about the way I did the Twitter. I think the way that the Twitter was done was awesome, and although it didn't go exactly the way I wanted it to go at every turn, it shaped up to be more or less pretty interesting. I just wish I had kept it on Twitter. So like all of those characters that I wasn't able to introduce on Twitter, just because they weren't ready to be introduced yet. But if I had kept it on Twitter, then I would have introduced those characters as well. But there's really no sense. Like the problem is so much of the story was on Discord. It's like I'm not even able to give context to what I'm talking about if I were to bring up specific characters in this live stream right now.
It's fair. It's totally fair. But it's still good insight to know that there were other characters that we never even knew were in the story. It just goes to show you that there was so much more going on in the Discord in the story than we had any idea. But I mean, I knew there were live streams of the Discord variety. I didn't know that there were 10.
There were a lot. There were quite a bit. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Well, Dustyn, I want to thank you for taking time out of your life to come and have a wonderful Q&A session with live chat as well, answering questions, talking a little bit about the Binary Moon Project and other such things. It's been amazing to get some amazing answers, even, or even just more food for thought to maybe make us chew on, and maybe still not really tell everything about the story, but give us more. It's just more things to think about. It's so incredible. It really, really is, and I really appreciate this opportunity you've given us. It's been an absolute pleasure having you, my dude.
Yeah, dude. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, and who knows? Maybe there'll be future times where we'll interact again. I'd really like that.
Dude, I'm totally open for keeping an open line of communication. I value relationships, and I value knowing people in every corner of the
Fantastic.
internet. So,
I mean, I've got you on Discord now as well, so if anything, we definitely have an easy way to keep in contact. That's fantastic stuff. Well, everybody, thank you for being here and asking us some awesome questions and having a wonderful time. I really hope we gave you a little bit more food for thought when it comes to not just a Twitter project, but perhaps one of the more bizarre and insightful ones, in my opinion. There's a lot of really good ones out there, quote-unquote, under the number 10, but this one was really good. I really enjoyed the Binary Moon Project, and it was really great to get some answers from the creator himself. I really hope you've enjoyed hanging out with us, and maybe you had some of your questions answered. Maybe you didn't. Doesn't really matter. Thank you all so much for watching and being here with us. We'll see you for whatever's next time. Bye for now, guys.